there's been some news, so let's do a little catch-up. What's going on, everyone? It's Rich Haywood here for Bacon Ice Cream Productions and Team RTFC, welcoming you to yet another episode of the Good Times Newsline Flashcast. Yeah, that's right, that's right. We are back here on a Monday, it's the 28th, and we're doing a little catch-up. There's been some stories that have broken in the last 6-7 days, and we didn't get to cover them here on the channel. You know, there's been some life, some summer, some getting ready for our trip, all those kind of things. But we got a few minutes, so let's go ahead and talk about some stories. And the first story was the announcement of a new DLC pack coming for Atari 50. So let's check that out now over on the Steam page. There's a couple articles that were written by it, but figure just go to the source here. It's the Atari 50 Namco Legendary Pack. Let's see what the trailer here has to say. Of course, muted as always. It looks like there's like 3 or 4 games that are going to be displayed there. Galaxian, Xevious, Pac-Man, Dig Dug, but the Pac-Man, and the Galaga too. Okay, but the Pac-Man is interesting because it not only has looks like the 7800 and 5200 version, but the 2600 version of Pac-Man as well, placed inside of the Atari 50 Pantheon as a DLC. Now, this DLC, all but confirmed, not coming to the Atari VCS, as was the last one that was available, because they said it was going to, and then they had to pull it, and then there was like those things that we got the make goods or whatever. But this one's pretty cool. When we do news lines, I normally cover only stuff that physically affects Atari VCS. But because Atari 50 is on VCS and we know we're not getting it, I guess it is kind of newsworthy as another thing that we're kind of not getting. It's a bummer. This is really cool to have. And I know that people it's kind of notorious that people don't necessarily like the 2600 version of Pac-Man, but I love that game. I played the wheels off of that when I was young. And just, it's kind of incredible that they went back to even go and grab that ROM and do it right and put it in this thing. Again, kudos to the team over at Digital Eclipse. This is absolutely how you do a digital museum for a console, and you get that third-party support, and you fold that in. It's just awesome, guys. This is super, super cool. And I have the PlayStation version of Atari 50 that was my make good. I got the code for the for Atari 50 on PlayStation with the DLC pack. So I'm going to go to PlayStation and get this. You get this whatever this legendary pack is, and play it there. I might actually, to be honest, I might break down and get the Steam version too. Just kind of like have somewhere to play it, because I might be able to do at Studio B. I might be able to do some playthrough of Atari 50 using the Steam version, and then be able to share that with you guys and like do some cool stuff, because Atari 50 is great. And for Atari fans in general, regardless of whether or not like there is a thing or we're missing stuff off of the Atari VCS and blah 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 and all that stuff, but it's still, again, I just couldn't. You can't find a product better that encapsulates everything about a company with with all the different stuff that they've been finding, and the commercials and the interviews and the snippets and the newspaper clippings and and the games themselves, all in one package. It just seems to grow and grow and grow. That's chef's kiss is what it is. That's what it is right there. So anyway, that was news number one. And in the same day, they also, Atari did announce another thing that was Namco related. So that was a big Namco deal. that also involved Pac-Man. So we're going to talk about that next. And that is the Atari Cross Pac-Man collection. An Atari 2600 Plus in this yellow, this Pac-Man yellow with the ghosts and everything. A high score cartridge collection for the 7800 that features Galaga, Xevious, Pac-Man, and Dig Dug, which is very cool. Some other things that were going along. I wonder if I can do this. Let me see if I can. It is muted. So can I play this? Yeah, so we could play the thing here. That was very cool looking. Like not gonna lie, like that is slick. It is a slick looking console. Now the problem is, do I get that? Oh, the Pac-Man Double Feature cartridge has the 7800 version of Pac-Man with the 2600 version. I think you can get the wireless joysticks and all the different colors. That's pretty neat. Of course, Pac-Man is such a seminal title for that age, that age range. Very, very cool. Like, it's neat to have another device in what they call the Plus family. It might be taking them a little longer than they would like to do the other Plus that I've been waiting for. But let's talk about the unit itself. So you can get the just the unit itself for, let's click the pre-order link here too, $169.99. So it's a little bit more expensive than the $129 that we're used to. The $129 that was for the 7800 Plus came with the game, and then the 2600 Plus also came with the game. So yeah, okay, it's a limited edition, I'm sure. You get the premium price because you got to have pay for the license. But then we're talking, I mean, if it's $129 for, let's say it's $99 for the console, $30 for the game, right? But now you're asking $70 for Pac-Man, and a little, obviously a little extra for the for the color scheme. I guess it's $40 extra for that. So it's not terrible, because again, limited edition consoles, you do pay a little bit of a premium. I would have liked this for $149, to be honest. If I was just spitballing prices at $149, it doesn't seem that bad. It seems like a slam dunk, to be honest, actually, at the $149 price point, because then if you do it out right, $129 plus an extra $20 for the new skin. You're paying the extra $20 for the new skin, and you get the game at $29.99. The console's $99.99. I mean, that would be it for me. Does it make it harder to hit the pre-order button at $170? I'm not gonna lie, guys, it does. That extra $20, that it puts the hesitation factor on it, because I've got a 2600 Plus. It's staring at me right in the face over here. Well, the box for it anyway. The real consoles are Studio B. I got the 7800 in its box right here in Studio A. I really like the look of this thing, but I might wait. I might wait for a deal, to be honest, on this one. But again, you can't deny it. It looks incredible. It'll look incredible on a collector's shelf. If you're among the people that have been buying these new 7800 and 2600 drops from Atari, 100% go for it. I mean, come on. It's it's great for those, and especially if you're a Pac-Man fan. I mean, that controller looks sick. It's really cool. But I just don't know, guys. And even to get a 7800 version of Pac-Man with the 2600 version on a cart by itself, and I'm sure it's got the little dip switch thing in the back to do the selection thing. Even that, I mean, I got a copy of Pac-Man. I got a couple. I might even have a 7800 copy of Pac-Man floating around. But I just don't know, guys. A 170 was so it hurts. It hurts. And this is after a couple days even to think about it. To be honest, I didn't even check the link. I just assumed that it was going to be around that 150, or even like 129.99, and still I'm like, do I need another 2600 plus? And I think the answer is so I might wait this one out and see if I can scope an Amazon sale on this bad boy, because man, oh man, those Amazon sales got really crazy, especially for the 70-100 plus. I almost bought a second one because it went sub, I think it went sub $80 on Amazon. I pick up one of these for sub 100, like $90, $89.99, $99.99 even on a sale. I'm in, and I'll just put it on the shelf somewhere. 170, I don't know, man. I don't know. I mean, obviously, let me know down below what you guys think. But again, no qualms. No, I'm not taking anything away from it. Product looks incredible. It looks really well done. Kudos to Atari for consistently putting out things that look cool, especially for like our generation, right? I see that thing, I go right to this, like the nostalgia hits me right in the face. Undeniably, I want one. It looks cool. But I think beyond that, I think that's where it stops. It stops right there, because functionality-wise, there's nothing new to the table. It's not like anything really cool to add or something like that. It's just here it is. It's a 2600 plus. It looks a little different, and it's got the Pac-Man licensing, and you get the the two Pac-Man games on the 7000. They can use on the 7000 plus and the 2600 plus, of course. Cool. But what do I really want? What do I really want, Atari? I know you know what I want, and I'm hoping next year. Next year, do it. Do it next year. Well, I don't know if you're waiting for an anniversary or something. I don't know, but you guys got to do it. You own them. You own the little Running Man. All you got to do is put a plus on the end of that name. I'm there. Even at 170. I'm not telling you to price it like that, please. Don't do that. 129 would be great, but no, I'd spend pretty good money for brand new television hardware, which was teased. It was teased as a good idea by Atari to me directly. So on the old X, I hit them up because they were like, "Yeah, what should we do next for the Atari 2600 plus family?" And I'm like, "In television?" And they were like, "That's a great idea." I'm like, "Awesome, do it." But I'm not necessarily disappointed that wasn't this year. I mean, obviously, I know that's going to take a while to like reproduce hardware and like get all that stuff, and because they had just done the purchase, was it 6 months prior or something like that. So hopefully you'll see that. But before I rattle along too much, we're already 15 minutes. We still got one more story to go through, and that actually is pretty big. We got to talk about Time Extension. They're a video game website, and they got their hands on something that I want to get my hands on. And what is that? Well, if I share this screen right here, they got their hands on the GC01 from Polymega. That's right. They exist. And they're in the hands of this guy, Damian McFerrin. And last Friday, he put out a pretty substantial review of this thing. And it made me want it maybe just a little bit more. So we're going to go over it. We're not going to like read the entire review. I will encourage you to do so. I will put the link for the review in the description. But we'll take some highlights from the review out there. This was the boilerplate of like, this is what Polymega's whole story was. They had they had this modular system idea, and we already know what a Polymega is if you've been watching the channel. And they had a fly in the ointment because they were unable to fulfill orders because all sorts of crazy stuff happened with their production facility. that was like in the middle of like a war zone or something like that, and like there was all sorts of crazy nonsense that happened with them. We already know the story. We also know that that's still something that these guys are working on. That the team at Play Magi Polymega are still working to this day to keep fulfilling orders on time and getting stuff out and working on next things that they've been announcing, like the Polymega Remix and the app and the store and the digital stuff and the GCO1 controller, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And not to mention having multiple waves of additional pre-orders for the base unit that they are producing at a small batch and then sending out to customers. But even those batches take some time to get produced, and then they take time to ship and all that kind of stuff. However, on the bright side of things, outside of this part of the review that I'm putting up on the screen, a little anecdotal information from me, support still continues for the device. So those of us that have been lucky enough to get one of these devices and get modules afterwards shipped directly from Play Magi directly to the house, like I have with the EMO1 NES module and the SS module and the Genesis module and the N64 module. I think I have everything but the Turbo module, to be honest. That's pretty cool. I mean, we were able to just hit the button and do the thing. And this is the last one that I really wanted, because you can get the controllers, you can get all that other stuff. And then, like I said, every once in a while they'll reopen those pre-orders for the base unit, and then you got to wait a little while, sometimes up to a year or more, to get your stuff. And I waited 3 or 4 years or something like that to get my base unit. And it was at a different price point than it is now today. So, because it's a little more expensive to produce now than it was back then. So, there is still all that stuff. Plus, they had the Polymega collections, right? We're at Polymega Collection 12 here on this giant stack that they've been able to release and put out. Right, there they are. Above and beyond all this other stuff. So, like I said, some of that stuff's hit and miss. Some of that stuff's good. Some of that stuff's bad. People in the comments, obviously, will be in there saying, "Hey, but what about the time they didn't ship a thing or whatever?" And they're like, "Yeah, I get it, but as a obviously a long-standing consumer of Polymega products, I do give them a hat tip, because again, they're still plugging along and they're still trying their best to get us stuff, and they finally put this thing in the hands of somebody who's going to tell other people all about the thing, good and bad. So the last statement in the first thing here, though, is the good news, according to the reviewer, is that GCO1 is finally here, and with very minor issues aside, lives up to its potential, which is cool to hear. So they talked a little bit about the design and build quality. Again, taking some liberties from the reviewer. Again, read the review. They noticed that it was much smaller than some of the other light guns that are out there for other systems, such as the Virtual Gun or the GunCon for the PS1. That thing was a monster, the original GunCon. I actually owned one, but then there was this other one that they actually had like the force feedback on every trigger pull and like that kind of stuff. It was like a third-party one. I ordered it from like a magazine or something like that back in the day. I thought it was great. Like, I loved that one. Used to play Time Crisis and all that stuff on it. It was great. But this one is significantly smaller and lighter, to a good degree. They said, because it is lighter, so you can hold it in your hands, and you don't get the arm sag as much. So there is that. But they did notice that, like if you're really kind of like, squeezing on the device, the actual casing of the controller kind of gives way a little, so it feels a little less sturdy than even the Polymega controller itself, the new one. So your mileage may vary if you really get in on the whole gun thing, and you really kind of like handle your controller is very heavy. And there's some pictures. kind of describing the size difference between the different controllers, which is kind of cool that they actually have those available to show, which is neat. They talk about the buttons. They talk about the action buttons being maybe a little, they feel a little cheap and clicky, which is fine. One thing that matters, though, is the trigger. Does it feel like it's going to be something that can take some major use, because that's exactly how you're going to interact with the screen 99.999% of the time. And to the reviewer's pleasure, they say yes, that it does feel robust enough to be good, which is cool. It's got an 8-foot-long cable with a USB-A plug, just like a send-in, which is the one that you would use on a PC and some other systems. They said that wireless would have been nice, but it would have added latency, of course. And I don't mind the fact that it's a USB-A, and maybe if it's a little too short or whatever, it won't be short for me. Excuse me, it won't be short for me at all, because I'm like right on top of everything. Actually, we'll probably need to move back in order to run anything here in Studio A and in Studio B. If I ever take my Polymega over there or do a remix over there, I know where I would put the device, and then still 8 feet will be fine for me on that kind of thing. So, but again, your mileage may vary, and then USB extension cables, we'll test those when the GCL1 comes in, and we'll let you know whether or not that works just fine, or if there's some added weirdness when you try to do that. So that was kind of cool. Then the big thing is, well, what about performance? Does it actually do the things that you want to do, and is it as precise as you would like it to be? And the reviewer finds it to be just that. He does show in these pictures that there's a blue border that comes across the screen. And that is to basically light the boundary areas for the camera that's in front of it's in front of the controller, so that way it'll tell you where to hone in, where you're kind of like trying to find the pixel that you want to hit when you pull the trigger there. But you have to be within range of the device's camera to see the entire border. And if you can't see the entire border, then it's not going to work properly. So you got to make sure you like push back enough so that it can see the entire screen. So something to keep in mind. So none of those those old duck hunt days are over, where you're like right up on the screen trying to get the ducks. So anyway, it's nice to note that you can calibrate the GCL1 from anywhere on the Polymega's menu, and and they found that it was a little that it was impressively precise right out of the box. The only time they needed to recalibrate was when they switched position from sitting down to standing up, because that does change the angle of things. So you might have to actually kind of retrain the camera as to what you want it to do. So they did say a pretty major issue, though, was when they also encountered with the send-in, which makes sense because they both have cameras in the front of the device. Was the TV was in a bay window, so if there's backlight, so if there's a light source behind the television that is bright, then it is going to mess with the camera, because that light is going to pour into the camera's sensor, and then it's going to mess with the boundary boxes that you can see on the screen. And sunlight beats all light to cameras anyway. So if there is sunlight, like a window or something like that behind your television, then that's going to cause some issues. You have to move or maneuver or find a different placement for playing these with the GCL1 or a send-in, and 100%. Or you could just play at night, I guess. So anyway, anyone that didn't have direct sunlight behind them, there's no issues. So if you're playing with a large room, you don't have granular control over the amount of ambient light. So if you're in that position, that's the only time you're ever going to have a struggle. So if you're able to move around or move into an area where there isn't direct sunlight behind the device you're trying to play with. As long as you can move out of that area, you're going to be fine. So, anyway, and also they noticed that it works with big TVs, small TVs. The Sinden itself is not compatible with the Polymega, despite the two guns sharing the same tech. So there's something in the Polymega's GC01 that makes it that special sauce, so it'll only work with the GC01. So gotta do that. Keep that in mind. And then of course they go through the list of games that are compatible. We did that once when they actually released a game compatibility list with the update that allowed the GC01 to work. So I think there's no changes here. Like we mentioned, To the Earth, Gotcha, Wild Gunman, and Hogan's Alley, Duck Hunt, of course, all those fun things. Your SNES games, which I don't think have any extra things on there. Yeah, because there's nothing on there. Terminator 2, Body Count, Lethal Enforcers. Yeah, so there's the only one that I thought of. Was the Saturn? Yeah, the only other one that I was thinking of was is there? Was it Revolution X? I think was there. So I mean, some of these actually. Oh man, it just jumped down on me. So some of these games also are. Some of these lists actually might be a little longer than I thought, but anyway. But in their conclusion, they said nobody should have to wait 4 years for a product they paid over $100 for, and GC01's paid for route to market is hard to defend even in light of the final product being of such a high standard. I mean, I agree. If you've pre-ordered a thing and the thing was supposed to come out at a certain time, then it should come out at a certain time, and that's what it was. Again, but this being a Polymega product, I'm in the camp of, well, we've been waiting for this for a long time, but it's here, and it's going to be in people's hands soon. Not that it excuses the things that are happening, but there's sometimes you're a small company and you try to do a big thing, and then more big things happen after you start putting your feet to the pavement. You start going in your motions, and then all of a sudden all these things come tumbling down on you. Sometimes the small team isn't nimble enough to move out of the way of the boulder, and they get hit, and then everybody suffers because of that, right? As we all know, Play Magi and Polymega had to reach out for help and get help in order to get the base units out. And if that didn't happen, I wouldn't be doing Polymega coverage, because I'd be so mad that because they probably would have folded without the help, and then we wouldn't have this or the Polymega collections or anything. So I understand people that would be upset about still having to wait and waiting on their GC01, because if they got in right away and they put in the pre-order, I waited a year or two after I got my base unit to finally pre-order the GC01 myself. So I get it. I 100% get it. And that's completely understandable. But the cool thing is they put out a cool thing, and it looks like it's going to be pretty awesome when we finally get it into our hands, which is really, really awesome. So, they mentioned after that because it was really cool and it does work. It was really on the cutting edge with the Sinden, but the Sinden came out first, and then of course there's a new the game light gun is also coming out, and that one looks like it might be even better for this kind of thing. But hey, in my opinion, if they put it out and it works to spec and it works really well for the things that the Polymega can handle, I guess it doesn't matter what those other ones do, because this one is going to be fine. So, it is. It says the result of the delay, the GC01's market is narrowed a little. Well, I mean, I think it's narrowed a lot because it's only to Polymega owners, right? So if you don't have a Polymega, there's no reason to get a GC01, unless they make it compatible with other things. But I mean, I still, at that point, yes, the alternatives will go that way. If you're a Polymega owner and you want a Leica, go with the GC01. And it says, doesn't take away from the fact that it's still a fantastic piece of kit. Another feather in Polymega's cap. Oh, cool. So, and then some other things that they're saying about that. But like I said, go read the whole article. I encourage you to do that. Obviously, it's one reviewer's opinion, so it's not the end-all be-all either. So there's that. And then, definitely, hopefully, if you have an order, you'll be getting a notification soon saying that they're going to be on the way. A lot of people have been speculating. Those of you in the Discord, shout out to the Discord, by the way. Also, links below in the description for that. They've been saying like, oh, hey, it's really awesome. That we should be getting our notifications maybe in August. Some people are maybe a little discouraged by the fact that they have like links that they've been checking to see like if Polymega has gotten shipments in from overseas or whatever, and they haven't seen those come in. So there's speculation that like, oh well, it might be another couple months even beyond that for them to finally come in. Who knows? Who knows what's going to happen? But what we do know is that stuff's getting closer, and the reason why is because these reviews are coming out. There's these devices in the hands of people that aren't in Team Polymega or Play Magi. So things are moving and things are doing that. Things are rolling, and even Remix, because a couple months ago we had that picture of the test units coming in to the team internally. So who knows? Maybe by next year we're going to be talking about Remix and the Polymega app and all that kind of stuff. So because I'm going to probably be in line for those, even though I do have a base unit, I'll probably be in line for the app and the cloud and all that kind of stuff, because I think it's fascinating, and I mean I could use one in Studio B. So we'll be checking out that for sure. So anyway, that's it for the news roundup. We hit a half hour on there, almost a full podcast of just talking about news. So if you guys are in here and you guys are listening, thanks for listening in to us today. Having a good time talking about this stuff. And like I said, I wanted to not only did I want to talk about the story, but I wanted to shout out to a GTC member who said, hey, the last couple comments that they made was like, hey, what do you think about all this stuff? So I was like, you know what, I should probably do a Newsline so I can let not only them know, but you guys know as well what I feel about the stories. And I know I'm a little late to the party on some of the stuff, but that's okay, because we don't have to be always right on time for everything, right, guys? Yeah. So anyway, that's it. That's all we got for today on this one. Now, of course, we're at the end of the video here at Big Nice Creep Productions. You know the drill, guys. We got to do one thing and one thing only, and that is thank every single member of, you guessed it, the Good Times Club. So let's do that right now. Let's thank the EverCanadian, Crimson Cross, George Games, Chris Westerman, Fan of Fiction, Lloyd Art Jim, Papa Pete, the Intellivision Gamer, Ken LaCure, Mr. Shua, Gunsy20, John Willig, Herb Wars, DF, Joe Whitlash, David Valdez, Dan Nastic, Dr. Mark Mad Scientist, Alex Groot, and Immortal Sojourn. Thank you guys all so much for being members, for hanging out there, for being super cool people who are supporting not only this channel, but Edge channel, the Evercade Effect, and the Evercast, and calling all retro gamers. And I know, that elbow that's coming down on the top, off the top rope, is dangerously close for making contact with my head. It is the 28th. We have until the 31st. That's Thursday. Today's Monday. I gotta get something out on calling all retro gamers. That isn't a live stream, because that's what I said. I was gonna promise something. So I'm gonna get something out there, and I will. I don't know what it'll be. It could be short. It could be long. It could be video game related, like play video game related. It could be just a ramble. It could be whatever. Something will go up on calling all retro gamers. I promise. But anyway, speaking of all that stuff, though, GTC and not, you want to be a member of the GTC, go ahead and hit the join button. It's awesome. Come on in. We got some cool exclusive stuff. We got some other things that are working on. We finally got a team working on a not working on behind the scenes stuff, but they've been working behind the scenes with me on a new video that I think is going to be hilarious and really cool and really fun. So I think that's really cool. And we actually started work today, the 28th. There was break ground on the work that we're doing for this video. Hopefully we can get some stuff shot in the next couple days, and then I can edit while I'm on vacation to then premiere the video either while I'm out to the GTZ and then to everyone else maybe later. But for certain, by the time I get back in August. So hopefully that'll be really cool. And it's just a fun little thing we're going to do. And if it works out, people like it, we're going to do more. So enough with that tease. On to the next things. Please do all the YouTube things, likes, dislikes, comments, red buttons for subscribe, bell for notifications. Thank you guys all so much for watching. And until next time, we will catch you next time for some good times. I'm Rich. And we will see you later. Take it easy, guys.
RTFC.baconicecream.com